Praise the Lord. Welcome back to Women of Purpose. I am Dr. Cynthia Woods, a psychotherapist, and I'm here before you today, welcoming you back again. This is the day that the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. How was your week, beloved? I hope you had a blessed and wonderful week. Remember, even whatever circumstances and situations come our way, we still have to keep our focus on the Lord. We can't keep them on our situations, our circumstances. We want to keep our eyes on God and just be thankful. Being thankful. This morning I woke up just being grateful for another day. Having a day full of gratefulness and thankfulness changes my perspective on how things should be for that day. And so I encourage you, beloved, to try that as well. So today I want to welcome a special guest, a woman of God who focuses on our finances to help us to get things together. Because, that's a very important part of being a good steward. And we want to make sure that we are managing our money the way that God would have us to manage. Sometimes we get off track. Sometimes we do things that we shouldn't do. Sometimes we spend more money than we should. I have clients that tell me that they want to do some retail therapy, and we know what retail therapy is, right? You're shopping when you feel down or sad or depressed, and then that just opens up the door for a lot of pain and distress. So we don't really want to do retail therapy. So we have with us today Meltrice Sharp, who is a CPA, and she's going to help us talk about how to manage our finances and the journey that God had her on, how the vision he gave her to become an entrepreneur, and how to help other people. Welcome with me, Meltrice Sharp. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cynthia. I swear I love the sound of that.
Yeah.
Dr. Cynthia.
Oh.
I love it how it rolls off my tongue. But thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate that.
Yes, very, very excited about you being with us today and sharing with us the importance of finances and how we have to be able to be better stewards with what God has blessed us with. Because as Christians, we want to make sure that we're keeping that before us. The Bible talks about money. God talks about money. We think that, it's other things that he focuses on more than that, but that's also a part of it too.
Yes, it's one of the most talked about topics in the Bible. Some scholars will argue the number of times it's spoken about, but the reality is that he talks about it a lot. Yes. The Bible says that God died so that we can have life and have it more abundantly. So definitely wants us to live an abundant life. And, we talk about the intersection between finances and mental wellness now.
Yes.
So we're really blending the two now because we understand that the lack of finances or the inability to manage your finances effectively leads to a lot of unhealthy mindset. And so it's really important that we mix the two and understand that they intersect.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
That is so very true, because if you're not healthy financially, it causes a lot of stress. And as we know, stress in our bodies can lead to other problematic areas, such as we increases our worry, increases anxiety, increases some physiological
Heart
things
disease.
like high blood pressure, heart disease, obesity, all those things. And so if we're not being balanced, because it's all about a balance, right? We don't want to leave out the financial wellness.
Right.
We look at our mental health, we look at our physical health, we look at our spiritual health,
Absolutely.
our psychological health, and we want to look at our financial health. It's very important.
Wholeness.
So wholeness. Talk more about that. Tell us more how you see how that really impacts people in their lives.
Yeah, first of all, I would say for my marriage, I tell people all the time, like, finances is one of the leading causes to divorce because people are fighting and struggling about finances, and it has such a detrimental impact on their marriage. But when your finances are in order and you don't have to fight about money, it leads to a more healthier whole relationship. as a single mother. For many of my years, I was a single mother, and really realized that if I did not effectively manage my finances, that things would be in a disarray, that I would not be able to afford just the basic living needs of myself and my children. So really having to say no to those things that don't matter was really important. But I like to tell people to understand what their yes is.
Okay.
Because if you
That's
don't
good.
understand what your yes is, then your no's are not. Your no's are very difficult, right? And so I'd say, what are your goals? Do you want to live debt free? Do you want to live a life that is comfortable, like all of your needs are met, you're able to satisfy your wants, you want to pay for your children's education, you want to retire and still sustain your lifestyle, right? What is your yes? You want to purchase a home, or you want to invest in, some large investments or real estate, or whatever your yes is, because if you understand your yes, you're fully connected and sold out on your yes, then your no become easy, right? Yes. So your no to that purse you can't afford, your no to that car you can't afford, that big house that's bigger than you can ever live and enjoy all of. Like, those no's become easy because if you know that if you say no to those, you're going to get closer to your yes. So I won't even sit down with people and waste my time if they don't understand what their yes is. What are they aspiring to fiscally?
I like that, because that way you have a goal. Like you said, you have a goal.
Absolutely.
When you don't have a goal or a plan or a future or a purpose,
right,
everything else gets in the way, and you find yourself getting distracted.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you get in like I tell people, the first thing we have to do is get connected to your yes. The second thing we have to do is build a plan so you can get to your yes, right?
Okay.
So that plan is simply a budget, and that is getting in the driver's seat of your finances so that you can tell your money where to go, as Dave Ramsey says, instead of looking up and asking, where did it go, right? So building that plan, because we all know if we get in the car, we can either be a driver, we can be a passenger, and we can be in the back seat, right? So getting in the driver's seat of your money and telling it where to go is going to get you to your goals. Not having goals means that you're kind of living recklessly with your money, because you don't even know what to do with it. You don't know where it's going. So it's really, really important to establish that plan first. Establish that plan first and allow that plan to take you to where it is that you need to get to.
Oh, that's good. That is really good. I'm glad you shared that. So tell me, have you always been, what made you get into accounting? How did you get started into accounting and numbers and finances?
So I've always been good with finances, but I come from very humble beginnings. So I tell people my mother was really good with money. She could make $1 out of 15 cents. But the challenge was she only ever had 15 cents, right? So my mother was a waitress, and she cared for myself, my brother. Her sister died when she was young, when we were young. So my mother cared for my cousin, who is my sister now because we grew up together. She cared for my other cousin who mother, fell into drugs. So she did all of that on a waitress salary. So very humble beginnings. We lived in the inner city. All of our needs were met. We never had lights or anything cut off, or we all had all of our needs, but I would often, go to sleep to sirens and go to sleep to shotguns and just commit to myself that this would never happen to me. So when I went to college, I actually went to college to pursue education, and realized in a short period of time after several classes that education wasn't for me. I'm pretty outspoken, and I would stand up for things that there were so many politics around education, but I was always good at math. Okay. So that's kind of what made me pursue accounting, but I did not realize that accounting was a whole different beast and a whole different language. But after graduating from college, I did very well. I worked for one of the biggest accounting firms in the world called Ernst & Young.
Yes,
But I didn't know how to manage money.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So I was an accountant, but I was trying to keep up with the Joneses, but I didn't realize that the Joneses were broke, right? So,
The Joneses are
bought
broke.
the car. Not all Joneses. So if you're Jones, please don't get offended.
No. That's a good. I like the way you phrase that. Yeah.
So, I had the car. My husband and I, we both had cars. We had the home. We had the clothes. We had all the fancy things, but we did not have any money. Right? And so, again, I say finances is one of the leading causes to divorce. So that was one of the reasons why we divorced. Just a lot of stress around the lack of finances. Or I would say, because it wasn't the lack of finances. It was not effectively managing those finances. So you find yourself working for things. So that's what we did. We worked for things. And so with all of that stress, my first marriage ended in divorce. But after that, I was like, how am I going to get myself out of this mess? And so just kind of applying some of the things that I learned by watching my mom, doing a lot of research on finances and really how do you get yourself out of the depth of debt I was in and applying those things. So creating that plan. And the first part of that plan was budgeting.
I was just going to ask you, what would be the first step you would say to someone who doesn't know where to start?
Yeah. So we said yes. Right? I said yes to I'm getting out of this. Yes to I'm creating a life that's better for my children. So knowing what my yes is and then sitting down and creating the budget so that I can get there. Okay. So that was really important. And from there, it's just about making the necessary adjustments. I tell people to use the debt snowball to get out of debt. I really aspire to that because it's one of those things where some, financial literacy experts will say, pay off the largest debt first. But if it was a numbers thing, we would all do it, right? It's more of a mental thing. Okay. It's more of a discipline thing. And it's almost like that first 5 pounds you lose when you're trying to lose weight. That's me always. First 5 pounds, but that first 5 pounds gives you the motivation and the encouragement and the inspiration to keep going. Okay. So I tell people to pay off the smallest debt first. Because you're like, if I can do this. It
gives you the motivation to keep going because to have be accomplished, to accomplish something. Then you say, okay, that's one down. Now let's move on to the next.
Yep. So you take that money that you were spending on that one and apply it to the next one. And so you just go after it really aggressively. All the while, all of those other extra things that you were doing that don't align with your budget, you have to say no to for a while. So I tell people like for example, my husband and I, this season has been graduation party, birthday party, backyard barbecue. Like it has been so many. And every time you go to a party, what do you have to do? You have to buy a gift.
Yes.
You have to buy a card. You have to buy something. So I tell people like when you're in that time of your life where you're trying to dig yourself out of something that you found yourself in, sometimes you have to say, hey, I really want to come, but I'm unable to buy a gift this time. Can I do something else? Can I come help you set up? Can I come help you clean up? Can I come help you entertain or host?
Yeah, that's very creative.
Can I buy something? Not buy something. Can I make something? Maybe centerpieces with some stuff you may already have at the home. So you have to get a little bit more innovative, but you don't have to keep yourself in the house and stuck isolated so that you feel worse in the midst of climbing yourself out of that hole.
That's good. We always think that we have to we attach a monetary value to everything we want to do. Everything. And we forget that what about your time, giving your time and those are more ways to help out with people that need things that you want to participate in.
Absolutely.
That's good.
People like that even more sometimes. Because sometimes you get them something and they're like, oh my God, I got one more of ABC. One more of this. They don't use it. Sometimes they re-gift it. So people appreciate your time and your thoughtfulness a little more. So that's always, Dr. Cynthia, the absolute first step is creating that plan. And, I think about things, I tell people, like, let's look at your investment portfolio. Let's look at your, if you have children and you're going to college, in what way do you plan on preparing for them to go to college?
Right.
Looking at your different options, 529 education plan, your annuities, whatever, that is, but thinking about those things. And another thing that's really important as you're developing your budget too, understanding where you can cut costs.
Okay.
Because I sat down with one client, and she was going through some hard times, and her car got repoed, and she wanted to borrow money to get a new car. And so I kind of challenged her. I was like, okay, so you're going to spend all of these thousands of dollars to get this car back that was repossessed. Why don't you let them keep the car? Your credit is already bad, right? So let's start from scratch. Why don't you buy a used car? So now you don't have a car note. Now you're not going to find yourself back in that situation again. Mm-hmm. Let's look at every last one of your bills. We'd be surprised that if we just took the time to give it some energy, yes, we can cut costs on even our day-to-day stuff. Your electric bill, going to apples comparison and making sure that you're getting the best rate, yes, for your gas bill, yes, for your insurance. We'd be surprised if you've driven successfully and no accidents, no
you can get some
traffic tickets.
Rates, yeah.
And put them in competitive situations. If Geico is not going to give you a good rate, perhaps Progressive is. But you have to revisit it frequent enough where you can reduce that cost, thereby increasing your bottom line, right? And so you can take that extra money and then put it somewhere else where it's going to give you a return on your investment. Because a lot of times we're sticking our dollars into something that has no return.
Yes.
So
yes.
We're buying, vehicles, luxury vehicles that as soon as we leave off the lot, it depreciates. It's depreciates. So we don't think about investing in things like art that, a lot of art
that appreciates,
right? Gold. A lot of those types of things, metals and stuff like precious metals appreciate, and the equity. We don't think about doing things like investing in small businesses. There are a lot of small businesses that just need that extra $5,000, right, to get them over.
That's right.
And you can either invest debt, meaning they pay you back that $5,000 plus interest, or you can even, strike up an equity deal where there's something that you're getting residual of passive income from that business as that business grows. So if
that's a great investment.
Yeah, if it's a good model, invest in a small business, in a local business in your community. So there are all kind of things that we can do that will
those
give
are
us
some
return.
very helpful tips, very helpful things that we don't think of on a common basis, average day-to-day, basis. We always think in terms of, investment in 401ks, those we know, mutual funds, those we know, stocks and bonds, but we don't think of, going outside the box or coming and seeing a professional who can help us with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I noticed that in mental health, one of the other stigmas that's attached to lifestyle is not wanting to change because for fear of shame.
Fear of shame.
And embarrassment.
And fear of being judged. But I like to tell people you'll experience more shame. I guess the question is that you would have to ask yourself is, who are you trying to impress most? So is it the external people, or is it God? Is it yourself? You spend more time with yourself than you do with anybody else. So you are more shame when you are stressed out. Nobody knows about it but you.
Right.
So that's the shame right there. The shame is when you can't show up your whole self, your authentic self, as God would have you to show up because you're hurting so bad inside. So I think it's more shame when you see repossessions or, if even the likely chance of you passing away or something happening to you, and then you're exposed at that point. So you leave your family to be shamed. So I think about a lot of people who pass on, and I see all of these GoFundMe accounts For me, that's even more shame, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, but they're looking at it from the aspect, well, they're gone. They
they're
don't have
gone,
to deal
right?
with that anymore, but their
is shamed.
family does.
So,
I know.
I say you
exactly.
spend money you don't have to impress people you don't like. But at the end of the day, it's like, as a mother in my life, one of the things I care most about is my children's well-being, right? So why wouldn't I care or have that same concern even in my death? So just because I'm dead, I don't care if my children is stressed out, living, trying to figure it out how to bury me.
You
right?
want to leave a legacy.
You want to leave,
and you want to be able to so that they don't have to be concerned with how we're going to take care of the arrangements for mom or dad or the family. Because that's another added stress. That's another thing that families deal with, and it really breaks the families up.
Oh my!
When there is either an inheritance or there's not an inheritance, sometimes it can go either way, but that is a very important aspect, though, that we don't always look at.
We don't think about it. I tell people,
get your house in order.
Get your house in order.
Get your house in order.
Insurance is one of still one of the largest ways that our counterparts leave legacy and wealth to their generations behind them, and I tell people all the time, we don't put enough money into insurance, but I tell you what, I bet you if you ask people if their car is insured, they're going to say yes. Why? Because someone else makes you insure your car.
Yes, you have to.
If I ask someone if their phone is insured, they're going to say yes. Why? Because someone else makes you insure your phone. So there are all these things that are insured because someone else is forcing us to insure them, but our life is more important than all of those material things.
That's right.
And we don't have enough insurance on our life. So when we talk about legacy and generational wealth, we can leave a legacy just by having the right insurance plans.
That's true.
And we don't do that. So having the right insurance plan and estate planning is an absolute must. We've seen, by COVID, it doesn't matter what age you are.
Absolutely.
If you're an adult, you have an asset, you need to do estate planning. I see it break families down so much because they're fighting over the fur coat you left or the car you left or the home you left. When you can establish while you're here what your plans are, you can determine that. So now no one has to fight over it because Mima or Dr. Cynthia already set out expectations of how she wanted it to go. You're going to be mad at somebody, be mad at her. You know what I'm saying? So and then your estate planning is not just for when you pass on. It's for when you're here. If something happens where you become incapacitated, even if for a short period of time, people know what your wishes are. So really, when we talk about building that legacy and building a plan for financial success, it encompasses all of that. Budgeting, estate planning, insurance, investments, like all of those things are encompassed.
Having a nice portfolio of arrangements. Now, so for the person who was never taught any of this and struggles with that, I know you said you would, start with a budget, but when they can't see past, what are some small things they can do when they just can't see past living from paycheck to paycheck?
So I tell people, if you actually sit down and you do what we talked about first, where you've created a budget, and it's a pretty accurate budget. It typically takes about 90 days to make all the necessary adjustments and make sure that you have a pretty comprehensive budget. You have to keep revisiting it, making sure
that's
it's accurate.
The thing. Now, when you say your budget, so like I know when my clients, sometimes we go into finances, they ask me, I always say, and you tell me what you do, list everything that you spend money on. Everything. From the stamps
$20 ATM
to the whatever it is, I want you to go through and list everything that you have spent money on from A to Z.
Yep.
Every bill, every time you eat out at McDonald's, whatever it is, write it all down.
Vending machines, everything.
Yes, everything.
Everything. Write it all down.
Write it all down.
Every income you bring in.
Yes,
you're starting off by writing all of your income down. Everything you bring in, child support, wages, anything that you're not your investments that you don't touch, but just anything that you're coming in that's liquid, right?
Okay.
And then all of those expenses, and then figuring out what's left. I do zero-based budgets, because if there is something left, then every dollar has a home. So if it is something left, then you need to take that money and reinvest it. You need to take that money and do something with it. Okay. Because one quality about money is that it's going to be spent. Mm-hmm. So we just want to tell it where we want it to be spent, right? And so
it is. It's got to be spent.
Yeah, it's going to be spent. So you want to make sure that you're allocating every dollar of that income. So if you do all of that, if you put all of your income down and all of your expenses, and you have some left, then reallocate it to some type of a giving. Hopefully we're all giving, right? If we have that capacity, whether it's our time, talent, or our treasures, but reallocate it. But if you've really done that and it's comprehensive, and you get to the end and you are negative, that means you have more month than money. Then you have to start thinking about other ways to generate other revenue streams. Right? So, but remember, when we talked about all of our expenses, before we look at it and say we have more month than money, have we done that hard work by eliminating things that are not true needs? That's the thing too, right? So in my work, as I help small business with bookkeeping and accounting and business consulting, I will see that people will spend hundreds of dollars on food.
Yes.
Yep. Vending machines, food, eating out, drinks, and all of that. So you can't get to the bottom and say, I don't have enough, if you haven't eliminated some of those things that aren't true needs. Yes. Right? Mm-hmm. So do that first. Eliminate all of those things that are needs. And I tell people, I'm not the kind of person that's going to tell you can't have any of the things that you want. But what I am going to tell you is that you have to plan for the things that you want. Okay. Right? So if you want those pair of shoes, which we all have more than one pair of shoes, right? So we don't probably need those shoes. Yeah. But if you really, really want those pair of shoes, then you need to put it in your budget and plan for it. So your discretionary budget, if you have a line item for that and you have money for that. So after you've eliminated all of that and you still don't have enough, then it's time to start thinking about ways to make some more income. And that could be, Uber Eats. A lot of people are doing that. Okay. A lot of people are doing, what's that, Instacart? Yes, making a lot of money there. Yes. A lot of people are starting their own small business. Mm-hmm. Typically, we all, especially I say in the African American community, we all have so much talent.
Yes, we do.
We all have so much talent. A lot of times we can cook something real good, or we can do hair, we can sew, we can do nails, we can do cleaning, we can do, technical driving. Like me, I have a skill. Computer skills. There's something that you have a skill to do. So taking that skill and translating it to some type of revenue generating thing where you can generate extra revenue.
Now tell me that again. You said because you want every dollar spent, but when it gets to where there's a negative, if you have a more negative than you have positive or even a balance, that's when you want to look to bring in another stream of income.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't stop to think that way. They don't realize, okay, I don't have enough money. I need another income. Yeah. And that's important. Let me see what else, what other legitimate way I can bring in more money. Yes. A legal way I can bring in more money.
Because unfortunately, for some of us, that is a reality, right? Cleveland has been named the poorest city in our country.
In our country?
In our country.
What number are we ranking?
Cleveland is number 1. So we've battled with Detroit for a while, but we've ranked number 1 recently. Over almost 50% of our children go to sleep hungry. Like, these are statistics that you can look up, right? So these are statistics that Mayor Justin Bibb and his administration are really aggressively pursuing. So some of us, our reality is we're not generating enough income just based on the fact that whatever job we're in. So we do have to look at more creative ways and be willing to do that extra work to generate that extra. Babysit someone.
Yeah, that's true.
House it, do some.
Be a dog walker.
Be a dog walker.
Yeah, walking dogs,
Absolutely.
taking care of animals.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's lots of things we can do.
Whatever we do, doing nothing is not an option.
No.
Doing nothing is not an option. And that's why understanding your yes and being so sold out on that yes is really important, because that way you'll stop at nothing to get to that place. Correct. And like you said, we want to make sure we're doing stuff legal, decent, and in order. Yes. But there's all kind of creative ways. Take on a second job, part-time. There's some things that you can do to create a second stream of income or multiple stream of income.
Multiple streams of income, yes.
Most millionaires, most wealthy people have at least three to five. Some have more.
Okay, 3 to 5 various income
multiple streams. Absolutely.
I like to say many rivers. Many rivers flowing.
Yes.
Yes, that's how I like to look at it.
Absolutely.
Yes. So with that then, because also you've also invested in various fund foundations to help women. Talk about some of the foundations that you are a part of.
So one of the ones that I founded myself is called Women Creating Wealth and Impact. So in the next 3 to 5 years, some people statistically will say it's going to happen sooner, but over $30 trillion of wealth will be transferred to women. But when you look at, do statistics on women in finances, mostly they'll say something like, women are less educated around finances. They'll say women are less comfortable or feel less confident with making major financial decisions. Okay. But on the flip side of that, over 80% of all consumer spending is influenced or controlled by women. Even if their husbands work, women are typically telling the money where to go, right?
Yes.
So,
so speak to that about the $30 trillion of wealth transferred to women. Is that through the streams of income that we're talking about?
Yes, so women are going to college at a rate that's faster than their male counterparts. Women are starting businesses at a rate that's faster than their male counterparts. People are passing on, and women are getting inheritances and businesses. So it's projected that $30 trillion of wealth will be transferred to women. And so Women Creating Wealth and Impact was founded. I founded it just so that I can create a safe space, a non-judgmental space where women can come and share their vulnerabilities around the area of finances, but more importantly, to get the support and the tools and the resources that they need in order to help them, effectively manage those dollars.
So, beloved, you heard that. Women of purpose, you heard that. So you want to be able, because I know it's all about positioning. We want to position ourselves so that we can be a part of what God is doing in the earth.
Absolutely.
And if we position ourselves, because it's all about the principles and values, right? And making sure that we're lining up with what God has for us. So getting that education, living that life that's holy and pleasing unto God, stepping out on faith. Maybe it's time to start your own business, to be an entrepreneur. I thank God for what he's done for me, and Meltrice, what he's done for her. So you want to position yourself so that you can be a part of what God is doing in the earth. It's very important. Very important.
Absolutely.
And that's very motivating and very encouraging to hear that, because sometimes we're out here on the grind.
Oh my God, yeah.
And we're working, and sometimes you feel overwhelmed.
Oh yeah.
Overwhelmed. I'm not, by no way are we saying it's going to be easy, but anything worth having is worth working for. You're going to have to put in the time.
Yes.
You're going to have to put in the long hours. You're going to have to put in the sacrifices.
Absolutely.
But it's very worth it.
It's worth it. I tell people all the time, entrepreneurship is not for the faint at heart. We make it look pretty. But
we do.
We know. There's some very long hours. There's some sleepless nights. Yes. I remember when we hired my partner and I, Larisse Purnell, we hired one of our first full-time employees, and I was so nervous. So I'm like, oh my God, this person is reliant upon us. Their family is reliant upon us for this business to be successful.
That's right.
And you would think that after I hired the 13th person and the 14th person that it would get easier. It does not get easier, right? It's still a level of responsibility and stress, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Like I would never go back into the corporate environment unless God says so, right?
Okay.
Unless God says so. But for right now, I feel like first, you're never ready. So let's just make sure everybody understands you're never ready. At one point, you're going to have to stop being a consumer of information and to start being a producer of information, services, and or products. But
it's a faith walk. Stepping out on faith.
For sure.
It's a faith
For
walk.
sure. I say to myself sometimes, are you ready? Right? Because it's something that you just have to have faith and do. Some people can stop their job and start their entrepreneurship journey right away. But some people, you have to do it in tandem.
Yes.
Start your entrepreneurship journey at the same time while you're earning a living, right?
That was me.
So there are different ways to do it, but I just tell people to just be like Nike. Just do it. Just do it.
That's
just
right.
do it.
It's
and
an
just
action
see what
word.
happens.
Just do it.
Right. Someone was telling me about a book, and I haven't read the book, but I forgot what it was called. It was like 450 something. I don't know. I have to find out exactly what the name of the book was. But essentially what the book was about was this, very successful person had tried so many things to the tune of like over 400 before they had this very successful thing. So being okay with failing forward. And I even say say that again? Yeah, being okay with failing forward. Sometimes fear and failure paralyzes us, but we can't. We can't let it paralyze us. We have to keep moving.
Well, I heard Joyce Myers say that you do things in fear. Even in fear, you still are operating. You're still moving forward in fear. And remember that the Lord didn't give us the spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. And use that sound mind to keep stepping forward.
Absolutely.
Keep stepping forward. Even shaking and trembling. Still keeping going.
You still keep going. You got to give God something to work with.
That's right.
You got to give him something to work with.
Right.
So you, as a matter of fact, when you opened it up, you say you're kind of in this this attitude of gratitude. And what we learned when we went to the women's luncheon at church is
that's right.
that, that is one of the most effective weapons against the enemy.
That's right.
Right? So when the enemy tries to strip you away from with the vision that God gave you, then you just speak God's word to him. You speak that thankfulness, that attitude of gratitude.
That's right.
I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
That's right.
I am talented.
That's right.
I am going to be the one that birthed this vision. And if this doesn't succeed, I'm going to try the next thing. Like nothing is going to stop me from achieving that life, that abundant life that God promised me in my word and in our word. So just really feeling that way and stopping at nothing is the journey.
Yes, and being thankful.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do. Today is going to be a day of thankfulness. I'm not going to complain. Yeah. I'm thankful, Lord, that you woke me up this morning. I'm thankful, Lord, that I was able to walk around the house. Amen. I'm thankful, Lord, that I can praise you. I'm thankful, Lord, that I have a roof over my head. Thank you, Lord. Just a day of thankfulness, thankful for everything. Yes. And when everything that's before you. You can find something to be thankful for. Yeah. You can find something.
And you said something. It's a choice. Like I chose to wake up and say, this is the day that the Lord has made.
I shall rejoice and be glad in it. I
shall rejoice. Now, it's not going to always be easy.
Oh, no.
It's not. It's not going to always be, joyful and happiness. But I was driving home the other day. It was a really bad rain, and I was driving home, and I saw a rainbow in the sky. And I said, God always shows up.
Yes, he does.
Even after the rain, he shows up. He manifests himself all the time. If you're looking for that manifestation. So if you're allowing your enemy to be your enemy, then you're allowing yourself to be stuck in a place of, just dissatisfaction, fear, failure, all of that kind of stuff. But I choose to be operating in God's image.
That's right.
And sitting in all of the beautiful, magical, like loving things that He does around me. He works miracles every day.
He does. We oftentimes look past them because we think sometimes it's just normal or something that we have done.
Right.
But our self-sufficiency is not in ourselves.
No,
it's in Christ.
not at all.
He does everything for us. We don't do.
Not at all.
We're just scratching the surface. But He does give us visions and dreams. And so when He gives us those visions and dreams, that's when we want to step out on faith, when He tells us the time is right, to be able to create becoming an entrepreneur,
Absolutely.
being able to help others, being able to be better stewards over what He has blessed us with. And yes, it's a challenge sometimes. It's I tell everything good, you got to work for it.
Yeah.
If it's worthwhile, you have to work for
Absolutely.
it. But it's all about being able to step out on faith, having that testimony, and then being able to help somebody else.
Absolutely.
Because it's not just for us. It's for someone else too, to be able to show and talk and teach and listen and help somebody else come along the way, come alongside someone, help someone else. Sometimes just being able to do that can start to where the Lord is leading you, just helping someone else and then recognizing, oh, wow, I have a gift here.
Yeah. What you do for the least of these.
Yeah.
What you do for the least among you. So I tell people all the time, even once you have, created your budget, you should always have a giving line. I don't care how much or little you make, you should always have a giving line. And my past pastor, because I moved churches after I got married, my pastor told me I better follow my husband. But and I'm so glad I did. But my pastor say some of us don't have enough faith to give 10%, right? So if you don't have that faith yet, pick a number that works in your budget until that faith grows.
That's right.
Until that faith grows. But
right.
whatever you do, whatever that number is, you have to be committed to sticking to that number, because sticking to that number is going to show God that you trust Him.
That's right.
Sticking to that number is going to show you that you can create this budget and you can give back at the same time. Like it's going to give you such a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. So whatever that is, you stick to it, but pick a number.
I'm glad you said that, because so many people say, because my finances aren't in order, or because I don't make enough money, I can't tithe. I'm not able to do that. But God looks right where you're at. Right where you're at. The woman who only had 2 mites, and she gave the 2 mites that she had. It was all that she had. If you got 2 pennies, that's all that you have. If you're giving all that you have, God will honor that. Yeah. He will honor that. So I like how you said, start where you're at.
Yeah.
Start where you at. Yeah. God meets us right where we're at. Yeah. Not where our neighbor is. Not we're looking at the Joneses and they broke.
Yeah.
It's where we're at. And we have to, we got to get away from the material things represent that we are successful. Yeah. Because the material doesn't represent success. Because that's not what God's looking at.
God says, give and it will come back to you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So I tell people all the time, when you try to be selfish, stuff always happens.
That is true.
You driving and you like, well, how did I just get a flat tire? Right? Stuff like that always happen. The refrigerator just happened to go out. Right? So, just...
Yeah, things do happen. And you're going to have to pay it out one way or another, right? If you don't give it to God, it's going out another way.
And then even like for people who do have it, and, I'm at the end of the year, at the beginning of the next year with them, and we're doing their taxes, and now they're paying thousands of dollars to the IRS. And the first thing I asked them, I'm like, wouldn't that have felt better if you had given it to the local church or had given it to a charity that's kind of near and dear to your heart? But you're giving it to the IRS because you've not given money. And giving is also a tax benefit to that too, right? Mm-hmm. So let's not talk about, right. We can go into the whole notion of that, but it's really about just giving from your heart, right? Mm-hmm. But so that's really definitely needs to be a part of your budget. But most of this is discipline.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you think about the formula for losing weight. We all know it, right? Mm-hmm. But it's about the discipline. For, applying that formula consistently. And even if you fall off for a minute, getting back on to make sure that you can do it. So the formula is elementary. The application, the effective, consistent application of it and the discipline around it is the easy part. Is the hard part. Okay. So when you say, like, if you get to that place and you have, less than what you're making, that answer is really just getting rid of all of those wants for a while and adding an extra 1 or 2 streams of income. And you want some of them to be passive if you can, right? So our passive income, my husband and I invest in real estate. That's pretty passive as it relates to bringing in income because you're not working to get it. Like, so for our businesses. Okay. So my partner and I own an accounting firm. Mm-hmm. So for our...
Tell us the name of your accounting firm.
Accounting firm is CLE Consulting Firm. Okay. We offer bookkeeping and accounting, taxes, payroll, and business consulting. But that's very active. Like, we have to be in the business in order to generate income, right? But then there's some things that you can do that can generate income that you don't have to be actively involved in, and that's called passive income. So you want kind of a mixed, diverse portfolio of ways.
Okay, give us some other examples of passive income.
So we talked about it, like investing in a small business. So you can invest, like, small business owners are consistently looking for people that will invest money into them. You can do it as a debt instrument where they're paying you back plus interest, or you can do it as an equity where now you're benefiting from the profit of that business. So as that business profit, you get a distribution, and as that business grows, your distribution gets larger. There are different types of insurance instruments that you can use, like annuities. And, I'm not professing to be an insurance expert, but there's definitely some instruments that are more short term. That you don't have to wait till you pass away to generate income. There's franchises. I have a couple of friends that are investing in franchises, which is something that I'm exploring now, right? Yes. And they went to a conference of all franchise owners, and they said the amount of representation from African Americans barely existed. So that's a space that we haven't gotten into. It was like looking for different types of franchises that you may be able to invest money in. I told you about, there's always equity stock. There's always stock that you can invest in that pay out dividends. So there's those type of things. The list goes on and on. Okay, good to know. Those are some things that you can do.
Yeah, and I think it's all about increasing our knowledge and our awareness of what's available. Because a lot of times, and I know in our culture, we don't know. Yeah. We haven't been taught that. Yeah. And we didn't know what's available until we start to find ourselves becoming more educated, moving in more different cultures, being exposed to more, and even going alongside someone and saying, could you mentor me? Yeah. Look at LeBron James. He went to Bill Gates.
Absolutely.
And he's a billionaire today from asking him to be his mentor. Yeah. So, we have to stretch ourselves sometimes and come out of our little safe comfort zones and be humbled enough to say, ask someone, will you help me?
That was that word, that humble word came to my mind. It's about just being humble and letting go of our ego. Somebody told me that ego means edging God out. And I said, wow.
Oh, I like that.
I said, wow.
Edging God
out. Just being
that's good.
Vulnerable and understanding. Like, I tell people all the time, like, I had to file bankruptcy after my first marriage failed. right? I was so, you talking about ashamed and humiliated. Here I am. I'm in an accounting field. I'm a CPA and I'm filing bankruptcy. That's embarrassment. That's humiliation. But I had to allow myself to be liberated from what people think and felt about me.
Yes.
And I had to be more concerned about what God thought and what I thought and felt about me and what I could demonstrate and show my little ones who were looking at me as the example. What is more important? Is this material stuff that some of the stuff that I had then, I couldn't even tell you where it was at. I'm like, where was that leather jacket? Like, where is that diamond ring? I don't even know where a lot of that material stuff was that got me into that bad situation. So just caring more about those things than anything else, like getting rid of the ego.
And that's true, because for women, we'll shop and leave tags on things and got them in our closet and haven't worn it. And I forgot about that.
Yep. We got more money on us than we got in us. We got more money. We're wearing more than we got in the bank. I tell, like, somebody said, I forgot who said this. It was like maybe a actress or maybe a athlete or something. Like, if you can't buy it twice, you can't afford it.
If you can't buy it twice,
you can't buy it twice, or you can't buy it more than once, you can't afford it. And, the whole thing is, it's easier to attain it's easier to obtain than it is to attain. Maintain, because you have to maintain it. So a lot of people can obtain a house, they can buy a house, but that regular maintenance, taxes,
that's right, upkeep of the
house is difficult. So then people find themselves losing their homes.
Yes.
Obtaining a car is easy, but maintaining it is difficult, right? So you don't want the value of your purse to be more than the value of your bank account.
I like that.
Like, it makes zero sense.
Right.
So, I see a lot of these people having these major parties now where they've spent thousands and thousands of dollars, even on a kid. So my husband and I is like, look, our grandkids get one simple gift, but the rest of our money is our responsibility. We take full responsibility in establishing them a bank account, establishing them, an investment account, like taking the money that we would have bought and
teaching
toy
and showing them how much. So how do you? Speak to teaching the little ones on how to manage their allowances or any money that comes their way.
That's a great. First of all, that I'm glad you said that, because that's a great segue into. I'm actually in the process of writing a book. So it's in the process of being illustrated now. But it's a children's book, and it is about finances, because I feel like that's something that we don't talk about at our dining room table, or whatever our proverbial dining room table is. It could be the couch. It can be, we eat on the floor, whatever that is. We don't talk about finances in our community, or at least the people that are in my circle don't talk about it frequently enough. So this series of books that I'll be writing will talk about how children, how we start to talk about the conversation, because we have to read it to our kids, but it's going to force us to have these conversations. But it's just about meeting them where they are at the time, at the age that they are. So the first thing you could do is just make sure they understand the difference between a want or a need.
Okay.
Right? So it sounds very simple, right?
Yeah.
But you're surprised at how many people will prioritize their wants over their needs, right? And so, my grandchildren, even at their age, is like, you can get that, but I'm going to tell you what you have to do in order to get that, as opposed to giving them everything without having the conversation. So is this a want or a need? Okay, it's a want. Okay, you can get that, but you're going to have to clean the kitchen, or you're going to have to clean your room. You're going to have whatever that is, and teaching them how to earn it, and the work that's involved with earning it. And even when they get a little older, you have to teach them that what it takes for you to earn it. Right? So you want this pair of Jordans, okay, one, who does it serve? Does it serve you or does it serve Jordan? Because Jordan's probably the one that's getting rich off of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Nike or the distributor. But mommy or daddy will have to work, 10 hours for this pair of Jordans. Mommy or daddy might have to work 1 hour for this pair of shoes. So making sure they understand, because a lot of times we're making financial decisions and we're not engaging them in the conversation.
Oh, not at all. And that's the thing. See, they don't know, and they don't see like okay, so after now you've earned the money, now let's talk about the distribution of the money. How you're going to have a part that you're going to give to God, you're going to have a part to save, and then you're going to have a part to take care of all your expenses.
Yes. So in my book, and my book is named after my granddaughter. One of my granddaughters is called Aubrey's Adventure to Cashland. So in my book, she has 3 jars. She has one for saving, one for spending, and one for sharing. And so she talks about the difference between a want or a need, and she talks about how she uses her three jars to do all of those things. But she's at a party. And she's having a party because it's her birthday, and her parents tell her guests to please bring her, instead of buying gifts, to bring money so that she can do those 3 things with it. Oh. So that's what the book is all about. Okay. So you're teaching them wants and needs. You're teaching them how to allocate to the things that are important in the ways that they're important. And then, and that's at that's at her level. But then at every level, there's the conversation. There's the struggle that we don't oftentimes let our children see. Right. I told you that I filed bankruptcy, and every night I would be crying and be upset. I did it in my room by myself. So my children didn't understand that, oh my God, this $75 pay to play that I have to pay, I don't know where I'm about to get the $75 from. I'm going to have to not pay all of this bill in order to pay for my child to play football this season, right? But we don't share that with them. We do that in silence. Yes. But I think sharing that with them a little bit at their level, just so that they understand this is not easy. Exactly. And these are decisions that we have to make. Exactly. And so,
it's important.
It's really important.
They need to understand the discipline. Yes. And how the discipline is challenging. Yes. But it's necessary. It's necessary. They just see the end result. Either they can get it or they can't. Absolutely. They don't know what is all involved in the process. They need to be a part of the process. The conversation. You have to have the conversation. Because otherwise, right, all of this legacy that we're talking about generating and we're talking about making for our generations behind us, then what they're going to do is squander it. Right? So now I've set up this beautiful life for my children where when I pass, they're going to get, millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever that number is, they're going to get it. But what are they going to do with it if you haven't passed on that education? Right. That's the one thing that we fail to pass on. That's right. So educating them and having that conversation. Well, thank you. So as we're closing.
Oh wow, we're closing.
Yes, we are closing. Take a minute and speak to our audience and share with them if they are feeling that they're just at a place where their finances are just not manageable. Speak to them on what they could do to help themselves at this point in their life. Take 1 minute to do that.
So if you're feeling like you're at a place where your finances are not manageable, the first thing you need to do is stop and pray. Realize that you are not alone. Realize that there are people out there to help. There's all kind of resources to help you. But the most important thing you need to understand is that you have the power to get out of the situation. Again, the first thing you want to do is sit down and take and write your budget down. It's something about writing something down where you can really see it, you envision it, you can figure it out. Write it down and then figure out what your plan is. One of the things that you definitely, Dr. Cynthia said, is connecting with a financial expert. There are all kind of free resources. You do not have to pay a dime. There are free resources that you can use to help you get out of that situation. But just understand that you have the strength, have the capacity, and have everything that you need in order to get out of that situation. Don't give up. Do not give up.
I thank you, Meltrice. It's been a blessing to have you here with us. Beloved, there you have it. Money is important to God. It's not just us. We have to be good stewards of what we have. Reach out to Meltrice Sharp. She is a CPA. The name of her firm, again, is
CLE Consulting
CLE Consulting Firm. And your number is?
216-800-9021.
Say it again.
216-800-9021.
216-800-9021.
Yes.
Give her a call if you need a consultation. And I thank you, beloved. I'll see you back on August 13th. God bless you. And remember, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. God bless you.
Amen.